Hey guys, it's Baldhead here on behalf of the Hoser Gun Guy Collective, and just wanted to make a video just going over the SLR receiver set and the build I have here. Just kind of go over the parts I have, a little bit about the receiver set, what makes it unique, and hopefully you guys can learn something if you're looking to get one of these, just about the parts and compatibility and all that. Without further ado, we'll just jump right into it, and we'll start of course with verifying that the chamber and magazine is clear, which it is. So now that we have that out of the way, I'll start just by going over a little bit about the receiver set. So it's manufactured by Maccabee Defense, and it's a non-restricted AR-15 receiver set available in Canada. So it comes as a stripped upper and lower. I got mine from Red Deer Shooting Center out in Alberta. They recommend going to Red Deer for these things. So that's what I did, and it came fairly quickly. Within 2 months, I would say a bit less than that from when I paid the deposit. The receiver set showed up at my house, which is a lot better than 13 months, which is what I've seen is the wait time for the ATRS modern sporter receiver sets, which are a similar concept, just done a little differently. So we'll just go over this receiver set real quick and how it puts together and stuff like that. So there's a set screw on the bottom here, kind of hard to see, but set screw right there that actually clamps the two together. They interlock kind of similar to a CZ pistol slide, where the rails are actually on the inside of the receiver set. So it kind of drops down and then slides back and then is held in place with the set screw. What I will say is that the Cerakote job that Red Deer does on these receiver sets makes it very difficult to get this upper and lower apart, like to slide it apart. I tried to do it for this video. I legitimately could not do it. I could not get it done. I'm gonna worry about that later. I don't have to clean this gun very often. That's one thing to keep in mind about the receiver set. Basically, because it's not an AR-15, there's no takedown pin. It's not the same dimensions and all that stuff. We'll get into a bit of that later. It's classified as non-restricted by the RCMP. So you don't need an RPAL to acquire this, to transfer it anywhere. It's non-restricted. You can hunt with this. You can take it target shooting on your own land, your friend's land, that sort of deal. So it's really awesome to have this option available. As a Canadian shooter who really is a fan of AR-15s, but I don't even have my restricted license. So this is a really good option if you're looking to get into something like that. Definitely check out Maccabee. They're pumping these receiver sets out as fast as they can. And again, you're not gonna have to wait over a year to get them. So with that out of the way, we'll go over the parts here. So starting with the front, on the very tip there, just got a standard A2 Birdcage Flash Hider. So it's solid on the bottom and then vented on the sides and top, just to help with prone shooting, so there's not as much blast kicking up dirt and debris with your muzzle so close to the ground. It's a great option, kind of military standard sort of thing. Works great at hiding flash, and it's nice and lightweight, not super long or anything like that, not super loud for people who might be shooting around you. So that's just what I went for this. The barrel it's sitting on is a Faxon. It's an 18.6 inch barrel, which is very nice of them to do so, because in order for this to be non-restricted, it has to have a barrel length of at least 18.6 inches. So the fact that Faxon makes a Canadian specific length is super cool. So I picked one of those up. It's a government Socom profile, and I'm not too sure on all the details. I know it does look a little heavier out front. It's about 3/4 of an inch, just a little less than the gas block journal, which is 3/4 of an inch. So it's gonna help a lot more, or a little bit more at least, with dealing with the heat from prolonged shooting periods, from rapid fire shooting, that sort of thing. And the gas block on the barrel is a BCM, just standard low profile gas block. It's held on with 2 set screws on the bottom, and the barrel is actually dimpled as well. I used a barrel dimpling jig from True North Arms. I really recommend that if you're going to use the set screw gas blocks, because it indexes basically directly below the gas port, which is always where the first set screw is on a gas block. So you basically kiss the barrel with a little drill bit, take a bit of material off, and it gives the set screw something to hold on to, as opposed to just clamping around a round surface that is the finished barrel. That's Loctited on there as well, so that's not going anywhere. Gas tube on the inside is a rifle length Lantac gas tube. It's nitrided, so supposedly a little bit more durable. Can't really speak to that. It's a rifle length, and it was kind of hard to find a rifle length gas tube, but I really wanted a rifle length system on this build. Since it has to be 18.6 inches, it can fit that no problem, and it makes it a lot softer to shoot. It's an absolute joy to shoot with that length gas system on there. The light we're using is a Streamlight ProTac 2. So it's a rail mount. I've got a little Picatinny rail mounted to the M-Lok right there. So that's what this light's actually mounted to. And then on top, I've got the pressure pad switch, which I love because the way I shoot the rifle, my thumb just rests right on top of it so I can activate the light whenever I want. And then there's also a click and hold on option on the front as well that you can reach up and press if you want to keep the light on. And then from there, it's got the pressure switch wire to here, which is adjustable, this little kind of pivot thing, so you can get your wire to kind of go out in any direction you need it to properly fit. And then as well, I've wrapped the wire around the handguard with some electrical tape, just so the wire's not flopping around really, and there's less chance of it getting caught on something. Underneath that, I have a M-Lok Magpul vertical foregrip. I sliced the bottom part of it off, maybe about a third or a half of it, just to keep it a little more low profile so it doesn't snag out as many things. When I shoot, I don't, have your typical like grip hold like that. I kind of do more of a C-clamp style and use it as a hand stop. Again, my thumb rests right there over that, which is really nice. But it allows me to kind of get a nice proper grip on the rifle, pull it tight against me. So that's more so of a hand stop than a grip for my purposes. Moving on, you have the handguard itself, which it's again from Lantac. It's the Spada ML. Now note about the receiver here, since it's not Mil-Spec, it's a little wider and I believe a little shorter at the front. This handguard had tabs that are supposed to slide around either side to help index the handguard, help it from rotating. Those did not fit around the handguard. So we threw it on the lathe, faced it down so there was no tabs, and then just made it nice and flush. And as you can see, Hoser did a good job of that. It sits right perfect and flush against on both sides. There's no gaps or anything like that. So just be aware if you are ordering a handguard for this set, it might not fit without modification, but thankfully I had a lathe. If you really wanted to and take your time, you could use a belt sander, something like that. But the lathe definitely made it easy and quick work as well. And then I just have some M-Lok rail covers here. They're in different parts, but again, it's a nice texture. It helps you get a little bit of better grip on the side of the handguard. And if you're leaning your gun against something, it helps grab onto whatever that is. So moving back, we have the SLR upper and the SLR lower, which come just as a strip set from whomever you will buy it from. That's how Maccabee sends them out. So the lower parts kit I ordered with some True North arms. So that's the dust cover, the mag catch and mag release, safety lever and selector and detent, as well as the bolt release and catch here. So that came from True North Arms, just a Mil-Spec trigger as well. And that being said, the trigger itself, I was pleasantly surprised by it. It's definitely a Mil-Spec trigger in terms of the weight. It's quite heavy. Again, we're clear, there's no rounds there. It's definitely heavy, but there's not a lot of take up. It's a pretty crisp break. And the reset is it's amazing. It's way beyond what I expected from a Mil-Spec trigger from just a random parts kit. So super happy with that. Feels great shooting it. No complaints there. Moving up, we have, I guess we'll go to the inside of the rifle. The bolt carrier group I'm using is a Phosphate chrome lined bolt carrier group from Toolcraft. I picked that up from True North Arms. It was a really good price. I think I got it on sale for about 180 bucks. Don't quote me on that, but it was a good deal. I couldn't resist it. I have the same one in 308 on my Stag 10 build, and it's a great BCG. I've had no issues, lubrication, cleaning, nothing like that. I shot it dry the first time through this gun, had no issues. There was no sluggishness or anything from it. So really pleased with that again. Can't recommend Toolcraft enough. Charging handle, the Radian Raptor LT there, just kind of your standard Radian charging handle, ambidextrous. It's got the aluminum grips with some cool polymer type coating around them. So it's lightweight, but it's still really durable, and, easy to use. Really nice there. On top of the rifle, my main optic is a SIG Romeo 5 red dot. As you can see, I lost one of the adjustment caps because I tried to adjust it with gloves on and dropped it in the grass and never found it again. So don't do that. So it's a 2 MOA dot and it's mounted on a Fortis cantilever mount. It's a Aimpoint T1, T2 footprint. So any mount that's made for the Aimpoint T1 or T2 should be able to work with this red dot, the SIG Romeo 5. It's really good. It's under $300, really durable. I've had zero issues with it. It's got plenty of adjustment settings. I think it's 11. There's 2 night vision settings, and it's really easy to make it as bright as you need it to be to work in bright daylight. So no complaints with that setup there. Behind it is a Bushnell 3x magnifier from their AR series of optics. It's the first magnifier I've ever used. My buddy just let me use it because he decided he didn't want to put it on his build. So I tried it out shooting this thing the first time. I actually really liked it. Being able to switch from just kind of your full field of view 1 times to 3 times for a little bit further engagements is really nice. And the mechanism it uses is not just your typical kind of under tension pull that you would see with like your EOTech G33, but it's got a spring on this side and some locking lugs and notches on this side. So you actually have to get a good grip on it and pull it back and then swivel it. But honestly, it's not that hard, and it's even easier when you're actually shouldering the rifle to do it with your trigger hand there. That's actually really good. Seems pretty durable. There's a bit of wiggle in it, as you can see, but it's not a huge deal because it's just the magnifier, so it's kind of zeroed, so to speak, as in the focus is right centered on the red dot. So as long as it's there while you're shooting, you'll have no problems. And yeah, so hopefully this holds up over the test of time and rounds. Moving back from there, we've got a BCM buffer assembly. So that would be the buffer tube, the castle nut, and the butt plate here. And it did come with the standard buffer spring and carbine buffer as well, but I swapped that out for an Armaspec stealth recoil spring system. It's like the JP silent capture spring system, so it doesn't rattle when you shoot or when you drop the bolt, which if you've ever shot ARs, you know is a thing. So you'll see, even if I lock it to the rear, drop the bolt, there's no real rattle or anything like that. Maybe just a bit of a ring from all the metal parts on here. But yeah, I really like that product. Again, I have the same thing on my Stag. Just it's that extra little bit of, I guess, satisfaction. It's not really necessary to get a functioning rifle, but it's a product that I like and I think is worth looking into at least. On top of the buffer tube, I have Magpul ACSL stock, and that's got a storage compartment here. So I hold spare batteries for the red dot and for my hearing protection as well. So I really like that feature. And as well, it's got these nice cheek welds here, which I prefer. I'm not a chin weld guy. I don't like my optics super high or anything like that. Just your standard co-witness height. So these cheek welds are really good. I like them. They're nice and wide. Lets you get on that rifle with your cheek nice and tight. The pistol grip is a Magpul MOE Plus grip, which I use for every single firearm that I own that accepts AR pistol grips. It's a little bit bigger than your typical pistol grip, which I like because I got a little bit bigger hands. And as well, the rubberized texture on it is really good. Lets you get a really firm purchase on the grip when you're shooting. And it's not as sticky when it's painted, but as you can see, even from one session of shooting, all on the back strap, the paint wore off and starting to wear off there as well. Wherever there's actual contact, it's really grippy and I love it. So those go on all my guns. And as well, there's a storage compartment here. So you take off this little cap here. In there, I just have an extra set of batteries for the flashlight should they run out. I won't be stuck without it. And you can get different inserts as well. One that holds an AR-15 bolt. So if you're worried about that breaking, you can pick up one of those inserts and a spare AR-15 bolt and have that with you at all times. However, that's not something I'm overly concerned with. So that pretty much sums up all the parts I used on this build. It's set up the way I like it. I did the research into all the parts I bought, except for like the magnifier, which again was totally new to me, but it seems to be working out. So I'd recommend you guys do the same. Again, keep in mind that these sets are not Mil-Spec and are not going to work 100% with all AR-15 products. Might have to modify it like we did with the Handguard, but in general, you should be able to tell by either looking at reviews or product images if it's going to fit specifically like the Handguard. If it's just flush along the back, you'll have no issues. And yeah, so one thing to note as well is that the Cerakote job from Red Deer makes everything super tight. So the barrel nut, you can't even like screw it on loose with your hand. I had to use the wrench to basically even get it to where I needed it to be to torque. And so the tolerances of the receiver set itself are very good. And so the Cerakote, I don't know if it's too thick. I'm not going to try to throw any shade at Red Deer here. They're great guys over there, but it does make it a little sticky. And even the receiver set sliding apart, it's very difficult. I had to use a non-marring hammer when I first got it to get them apart. And I tried to get them apart for this video. You can see I kind of mucked up the back of the charging handle there and scraped some of the paint off trying to get it apart. But to no avail, but I'm not too worried, again, because I just spray CLP in there every once in a while and you're good to go. There's no corrosive ammo that's gonna really be the demise of a firearm like this. So I would recommend taking some sandpaper, some light sandpaper. Don't touch the threads with sandpaper, but the slot where the receiver extension fits in, I would lightly sand that. I did that because the barrel, even getting press fit into the upper receiver, it's very tight. I had to tap it in with a hammer a little bit, and I would sand around where the rails slide next to each other. I didn't do that. I should have done it, but it is what it is. I'm sure I'll get it apart sometime soon, and I'm going to make sure to do that. So that sums it up for this build. Hope you guys enjoyed going over this. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Hit us up on the DMs on Instagram. There'll be links below for those. Definitely would encourage you guys to look into this product if you're looking for this tactical AR-15, but also non-restricted style of firearm. Great company, great guys. Really appreciate all the different Canadian businesses that make available all these AR-15 parts. True North Arms is a good one. Red Deer Shooting Center, as well as carrying the receiver sets. They also have a wide selection of all the optics, furniture, everything you can need for an AR-15. Canadian Tactical Cowboy Supplies, CTC, they're really good as well. I'm trying to think of some other ones I ordered from. I can't think of any right now, but yeah, check out all the Canadian companies. They're out there. You're gonna find that your local gun stores probably won't have most of this kind of AR-15 boutique stuff, but it's definitely out there and available in Canada. So do your research, throw in the in Canada search term when you're looking for all these parts. It's really helpful. You'll get taken to a lot of different sites because there is a lot of them. A lot of them are smaller, like mom and pop shop style even. So find what you're looking for and then search for it in Canada, and do your best to support the local business and the local industry. And we're going to be doing our best to provide you guys with more Canadian-centric firearm content. So obviously you'll see more videos with this build here, my Stag 10 build. Hoser has his ATRS build. We're getting some cross mags in, those little pistol rounds that link together, pistol mags, sorry. So we'll see how those work and hold up to some tests and stuff like that. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a comment, any suggestions of Canadian products, and we look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.
Three, 1, 5. 3.05. 2.83. 1.92.